Welcome to the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Mike DeHaan and Dan Austin. From wins, losses, horror stories, and tactics for optimizing your business, Mike and Dan take a real, uncensored deep dive into the ins and outs of running a full-time real estate investment and wholesaling business.
All right. Welcome to episode 22 of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast. Doing
Deuce,
a little,
deuce.
Yeah, deuce. Little midnight show over here. It's been a long sort of weekend. We're sort of squeezing this one in at the last minute. So if we're tired, apologies.
Yeah.
But dude, life gets in the way sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Stuff to do.
Yeah. You got to balance. You got to juggle. You got to find time to do things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always, entrepreneurship's always such a weird thing. Because, I think about this a lot where you hire employees that actually do the business, and then you spend so much time doing theoretical stuff, to improve the business. But it's amazing to me, you think of you if you work at a large company, everyone's like, what does the CEO do? It's like they spend an incredible amount of time just thinking, right? And researching and trying to organize thoughts and just putting stuff into motion that isn't even necessarily tangible in the immediate, and I think that's one thing that a lot of employees or people that are sort of that sort of employee mindset don't necessarily understand is how challenging that is to be committing time with no immediate reward.
Right.
Yeah.
Because or no guarantee of reward. No guarantee of reward.
For sure, right? And it can be time, it can be resources, it can be all that sort of stuff that you're putting into something with no guarantee it's going to turn into anything. And in fact, 95% of the time it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're just kind of experimenting with stuff, and it's a weird deal.
Yeah, there's unlimited. Feels like there's unlimited things you and I could be doing or are doing, right? There's no end in sight to it. I don't know what that's an indication of, but there's just so much and so many opportunities too. And you and I are both opportunistic, so we like to look at things and see what the value of that would bring to our business, right? But sometimes 95% of the time you waste your time.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
or you learn something new.
That's what I was going to say. It's never really wasting time. It's always a learning opportunity, right? Even if it's learning that something isn't going to work and isn't going to do what you think it does. It's just a constant learning.
You sure you don't want to go back work in corporate America? I mean, that was it's an opportunity.
Oh God, right? Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely don't. That was. It's so fun. Looking back, I mean, I wasn't made out for working in a corporate environment from day one. I mean, even looking back when we were in college and just all the shit that I would do that was just so kind of anti-establishment. Remember when we tried to get the head of the engineering department fired?
Yeah.
Because he was just such a dirtbag. And
he was a dirtbag though. He was a dirtbag.
Oh my God. And the stuff that he would do in his classes, that was just so pointless and just so flagrantly pointless. And he knew it. And just the absolute belligerent favoritism he had. I remember when we had to do that one project where we had to come up with an idea and build a business plan.
Oh yeah.
And he hated you, and you built out this really awesome thing with these RFID tags to track stuff. And then that other dude in the class that got him really with the professor literally just had something from Google Images and what was it? It was a robot to build or
a robot to clean his room, to clean his dorm room, which is not even theoretically possible.
Exactly. It's just stupid. It's he watched an episode of Futurama and decided I want to have that, but he got an A and you got a C.
Yeah.
And
that is another example of why, formal education, the institution of it is trash.
I know. It's such a, I know it's interesting to see how.
Besides the wave of debt that they've created by basically providing subsidies to universities, which trickles down to people and creates massive debt for the U.S. public to learn.
Yeah.
Not that college is a total waste of time, but it's
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it though? It's all farcical, but especially when it not that you have to go for your own, like create your own business or anything like that, but it's relatively easy if you get good at a skill to be able to work for a company, especially a smaller company, and make a good living without, having to have a college degree. Like if you get good at like really good at sales, you get really good at a trade, you get really good at something that's like high value, you can make an incredible amount of money without having to, necessarily go through that whole educational process. Or even if you go through that initial educational process, people will go and pursue these higher end degrees and all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, how about instead of spending 3 to 4 years to do that, you take the knowledge that you gained from your undergraduate degree and you go and you figure out how to actually add value to people.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to make a stupid amount of money.
It reminds me of the people with like master's degrees and PhDs in computer science. And there's some 16-year-old kid that's never even read a book in computer science that kicks their ass.
Exactly. I mean, that's the perfect example,
Yeah.
and computer science and programming is kind of like one of the biggest disruptors, I think, with education, because that's exactly the case. Like my wife works at a place that does a lot of web and content development, and a lot of the people that they hire have no sort of formal education in computer science or coding.
I wonder if that's like, that kind of reminds me though, like that's a very technician type role, right? Like even a computer science, like a programmer, right? That's like, I don't know, the millennials version of being a plumber, right? Because it's like you kind of teach yourself on the job, and it is very technician. Like you're not necessarily always having to create the ideas or run the business, but you're typing into a screen. I don't know. I'm not a computer scientist. Is that what you do? You type into the screen?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's obviously more complicated than that, but one of the things that does make it very interesting is because of the flexibility of that job in terms of location. And, there's a whole sect around making development and coding that much easier. It's not nearly as valuable as it used to be because, I mean, we have a guy on our team now that can do this. He lives in Eastern Europe. He has tech skills, and he costs us a quarter of what it would cost to hire him in the United States.
He's not in Ukraine, is he? For some reason, I thought he was in Ukraine.
No, he's in Romania.
That's
so right next door.
But he's probably like, this is getting crazy. It's getting a little warm over here.
I asked about that. He's not too worried, but it's funny when I first interviewed him to hire him, I was like, oh, how do you like living in Romania? And he's like, the country is beautiful, but everything else is horrible.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's interesting. Yeah. So anyway, I don't even know how we got down that tangent.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah.
A little peek into the conversations Mike and I have.
Yeah. This is what your bosses do when you're wondering what the hell they're doing. They're sitting in their office reporting a podcast, talking theoretical nonsense that isn't really important at all to anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But but real talk, I had kind of a weird weekend because we had an extremely hot past few weeks, and now we've had like a slow week. And even though we just are coming off the best month we've ever had, and we still got 2 deals signed around this week, I always get into the zone when it's not just like hot of like, how can I actively be pushing things forward right now? When even though realistically it's kind of out of my control, because we're waiting for the marketing to hit.
Yeah.
Like it's like the first week that went out was kind of slow. It didn't get the response we wanted. So then it's like, okay, how do we improve that for the next one? How do we get other stuff going? But then when you're trying to balance budgets and staff sort of like expectations, all that sort of stuff, it becomes a really weird deal because it's not like I can just flip a switch and start making more things pop tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right. There's always a lag, of course, with marketing, first of all. But then also, you could have the exact same marketing hit a week before and it just kills. And then the next week it doesn't.
And it's so weird to sort of plan that out. And then it's almost like you need to start creating these fail safes in the back to like sort of keep that flow going. But even then, figuring out those processes, we've had them in the past, and basically just ends up to be like wasting money, right? Like if we're doing things to generate leads for the sake of generating leads, sure, it gives the appearance of health, but it's not actually health because it's not revenue generating. It's just work generating.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I spent a lot of the weekend sort of contemplating just like how to make the best of those slower periods, not from like necessarily our perspective, but from a staff perspective, because that's where it really starts coming as staff get bored, right? It's natural. And
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges is, because we're a commission-based business for all of our staff. And then also too, because it's like a boom and bust sort of thing, right? It's like you're going down in the roller coaster and super exciting. And then 5 seconds later, you're on the carousel. And then, you're going on the roller coaster again, and then you're on the carousel. And after a while, the extremes,
Yeah.
it gets like people get so accustomed to the roller coaster that the carousel seems even more boring than it ever was.
Right. And if you love the roller coaster, that's all you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
The endorphin rush of the roller coaster is much better than the carousel.
Yeah, exactly. And the company, everyone in the company becomes like basically an adrenaline junkie for opportunity.
Yeah.
But you can't, so
it's your job, and it's your job in a sense, right? As the owner, as the, marketeer, to bring in the leads and the motivated sellers. And so it is challenging. And so then you have to think about like, how do you capture more leads? Well, you can market more, go to other markets, right? You could grow your market, right, by adding to that. But you want to do it in the most efficient way possible, to where you're not just spending more money, because you and I know as well as anybody, the more marketing money you spend does not correlate to more leads necessarily or more quality. It tapers off at some point, right? You could double your marketing budget, doesn't mean you're going to double your leads.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's kind of the, that's always the challenge. And as it goes, I think that's why it's so important for people to be measuring things, because we've gone through this whole sort of rabbit hole before in the past, where it just sort of spends more money. And then if you're not tracking it, and you see basically the plus coming in of like a lead being generated or whatever, but it's not actually turning to any conversions. Right. If you're not tracking that, it would be very easy to mistake that as a success when it's not actually doing anything, because you're not tracking your actual KPIs.
Right. You're just looking at leads, just the number of leads, not the actual quality of the lead or what happens after they call and tell you to piss off.
Yeah. Right. And how many people that call in are that versus, like a wishy-washy lead, or one that's actually hot, and how to calculate all that. But, it's challenging. And the data side of that, it takes a lot more sort of creative thought than you'd necessarily think when you dive into it. But
well, yeah. And there's not a lot, at least from our purview in our industry, there's like not a lot of great history or science behind tracking KPIs. So you feel like you're creating the wheel to some extent. Some people will say, tracking conversions at this level, or tracking appointments, or whatever it is. Like there's all these different indicators, but you still feel like you're trying to create the wheel to find that one golden ticket that's like, if we can get these, that means this. And it's just, that if then statement is really hard, because it feels like I said, like we're creating it, because it is unique enough that it's not like you can go to, pick up a book on how to do direct mail marketing from somebody that's been doing it for Coca-Cola for 100 years or whatever company. I don't know. Does Coca-Cola do direct mail? Probably not.
I don't think so.
They do bandit signs, right? They got their signs everywhere, right? But you know what I mean? Like whoever does direct mail, I don't know, the freaking furniture stores, right? That you get the mail all the time to buy their crappy furniture. But like you can't pick out that manual because it's unique enough that you can't just say, yep, that fits this box.
Yeah, it's going to be unique by market, right? By physical market, by the type of leads that you're pursuing, by how you're pursuing them. All that sort of stuff is going to vary. And if you don't track them, you won't really know. And I think that's why so many people tend to think that, this kind of direct seller marketing doesn't work. It's because they don't actually measure it, right? And because they don't have a follow-up process or a system for anything else.
Or consistency for that matter.
Or
right?
consistency.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other ballgame. But yeah, so I know it's interesting though too, because looking at our stuff from way back when we started getting consistent deals to now, our cost per acquisition has barely changed.
Really?
Which I find to be fascinating, right? Because we've scaled so much in so many different ways, through staff, through marketing costs, through different kinds of marketing, all sort of stuff. But still, our cost per acquisition sort of floats between $3,000 to $3,300. And that's just in marketing. That's not including staff costs and everything like that. But, I think at the highest when we were first sort of figuring it out, we were at like 38, 3,900. And then when we first started to sort of get our systems dialed in, we got down to about 32, 33.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it sort of just fluctuated between 3,000 and 3,300.
Do you think the makeup of that 3,000, 3,200 changes though? Like, hey, before it was X, but now it's more heavy on Y, or is it just like, hey, it's still this cost? I'm just curious of like what is built into that 3,200, right? That might have shifted, if anything. Maybe it's just the same.
Yeah. Are you talking about like where the marketing type?
Well, yeah, that and just the cost in general, right? Like, okay, so before we used to send this type of, marketing, this is what our funnel looked like. And now our funnel looks differently, right? Because our funnel has shifted slightly, right? In different venues and where we're actually spending money. Because, different cold calling services cost different things to bring in certain leads and certain acquisitions and SMS, all that stuff has changed our business model quite a bit. So I would just be curious to know what that 3,200, although it's the same, what that makeup is versus 24 months ago.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something we have to dive into for sure, because I'm not entirely sure. But I'm guessing that would be why there's variation, right?
Right.
And well, then the weird thing is too, is even when there's sort of like slow months, like looking at like January, we were quite slow. Then February was crazy hot. That averages out to be the exact same cost per deal between the two. So I think that's why the consistency is so important, because it'd be so easy to have a dud month and be like, I'm done. But then you just have to basically go with the fact that, that marketing is going to keep hitting and keep generating opportunities for the next several months. So you have to be pursuing those to make the most of them. But yeah. Anyway, So either way, yeah, we got some good stuff though. We got slightly controversial. We got our a Ukrainian conflict deal.
I forgot about that. Yes.
I was debating if I even wanted to talk about this, but I do think it is pretty interesting, because it's a seller that we have been talking to for a long time that had a really weird kind of like land property with like a garage, and he wanted way too much money for it. And we've gone back and forth with him a few times because he keeps getting mail from us. He shows up on a couple lists, but then he just texts us out of the blue and he's like, "Hey, is your offer still on the table? I'll take it." And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So I went and locked it up, and then James came back and told us that I guess he's a local Ukrainian guy, and there's the Russia-Ukraine conflict going on right now, and he like desperately needs money to get his family out of Ukraine.
Ooh.
And I'm like, well, like, it's like, that's kind of a weird deal. Like, we're giving him a service. Like, sure, we're getting a screaming deal on his property, but I mean, it's not like we did anything shady of like, oh, really? You're that desperate? We're gonna knock 20 grand off of it now.
No. Oh yeah. Like, your family's your war-torn family. Yeah. I know you need the money now.
Yeah, exactly. No. We maintained it, but it's a interesting sort of situation of like, I guess it's good that we have the ability to give him that opportunity, because this is also a property that, just with what it is, it has like this like Lowe's like manufactured, or was it Sears? It's like a Sears home on it.
Yeah.
We were talking about this, like I forget what it's called.
But it's like a kit home, I think. One of the guys said like a kit home, like KIT.
Yeah.
A kit home, like you buy a kit and build it.
Yeah, like I guess back in the day, you could buy a home at Sears and they would like bring it to you on a truck, like a manufactured home, but it looks like a storage unit.
Oh,
and so it's that with like a garage. And I tell you what, even with the current housing market, it would be a hell of a time trying to sell that.
No, you gotta it's all about how you dispo this thing. Because have you seen what Elon Musk lives in?
That's true.
He lives in that fold out house, right? That's exactly what this is like. Live like Elon Musk, be a billionaire.
Yeah, right. That's how you're gonna spin it. Be like a billionaire in the hood of Spokane, because it's a terrible location.
Oh, that doesn't help. Ouch.
It doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll figure something out, I'm sure, right? I hope we do, for this guy's sake.
We already got it figured out. We already know what we're doing with it.
Oh, okay. Good.
That one's already moved. Yeah. But but if you were to list on the MLS though, I think it would have been a tough deal. So we gave him the option. to
Yeah.
have that money. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. That's the one. Yeah, I see. That's the one Judd was working on this Friday or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking, and I'm just glad for the seller's sake that we were able to do something with it. Cause like you said, the average person's not gonna be able to do anything with that.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be able to get his money free from it, you know?
And there's gonna be not much interest for a retail buyer from that either. So yeah, because it was a pretty specialized lineup too. You know, we figured out who's gonna sort of have an interest in it, and it is a unique individual that takes on deals like that. You know, which are kind of few and far between. But
Right. Okay.
yeah, so
Good deal.
cool. Yeah, and then got that one locked up, and then we had our official kickoff for the Instant Investor Program. We ended up, what do you have? What is it? 8 people. I think is it 9 people, 8 individual signups because there's a couple that joined in as a group of 1. Good little start so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been good to see a wide range of experience levels jumping in and starting to get after it. Had our first official call on Thursday, and we got a good group overall. I'm pretty excited to sort of see how this next little bit pans out for everybody going into the hottest period of real estate, sort of being like the March, April timeframe.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they kick ass. And the cool thing too is, like you said, there's a varying experience levels, which that right there is just huge for people coming in, especially, you know, with people with good experience. We have people with, you know, contractor experience. We just have that varying experience, which is the biggest benefit of being part of a group, right? Is you can leverage the experience of those other people who've taken action to be a part of that group. I mean, that's where you and I have gained a lot of our benefit from other groups, right? Is the friendships you make and just the contacts you make.
For sure. And that's something that I think is regularly discounted when people look at stuff like that is, I mean, obviously what you originally look at is the people that found it, right? And the course material. And there's definitely a lot of value. But if you come in, you go through the course material, you take action. I mean, the big part that we are still involved in so many of the communities that we've joined, exactly like you said, is because of the people that we have met there, not only as friends, but also as fellow entrepreneurs who are doing creative things in their own right that you can learn from, you know, and you can sort of mimic that, and you can do deals together sometimes. I mean, you know, we had a situation with one of our friends down in Texas. You know, we got to know him really well through one of our groups. He needed like a 2-day loan to flip this mobile home. So I lent him, you know, some money for 2 days. I made some profit. He made his profit. I'm like, sweet. I just made money by being friends with somebody. You know, like it's awesome. It's super mutually beneficial. But pretty much, honestly, though, you know, I've met him face to face a few times, but you know, a lot of those friendships are built virtually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much value in that. I mean, I think especially if you're new, obviously being around people that have some experience, you can learn a ton that way. But even if you're experienced, like I find it beneficial connecting with sort of newer people because they view things a different way. And then also when they try things that you've been doing and it doesn't work, it kind of makes you analyze what exactly you're doing and like how is it different, or like, you know, what is different about their situation for it not to be working, to sort of create, like, think about creating a hedge for that situation, right? Like I regularly do that when people try our methods or similar methods to ours and it doesn't get the results that they expect. I'm like, okay, well, is that like the sign of something that's upcoming, or is that just that they did it wrong?
Right.
You know, like I don't. And you sort of start to try to solve these problems and predict what's going to happen going up in the future.
I think too, like one of the awesome things too is if you're a competitive person and you see somebody in the same group as you, like kicking ass, you're like, oh man, I know I could do that. And so you have to like up your game, right? That competitiveness is also, it's there. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and you. I don't know.
No, dude, I think that's everybody. Tell you what, some of our good friends, fuck Billy, you're never going to listen to this probably, but when you post some of your wins, bro, I get so pissed off. You know, like this is our good friend, one of our friends down in Texas, not the one I was talking about before, but a different one. This guy, it's him and his wife, and they just jam, and they have such a incredibly successful business for being such a small operation, and they're getting these huge deals. I'm just like, how do you even have those opportunities?
Right.
You know, like they get deals on a regular basis that are larger than any opportunity we've ever even like had a sniff at before.
Very regularly.
Yeah, like all the time. And I've come to the conclusion that in his market, which is in Dallas, Texas, if you want to go steal Billy's deals, all of his sellers are just idiots or something.
We should
Like, I
start
don't
a, can we
understand.
start a website called Steal Billy's Deals?
We definitely should.
Go get that link.
Yeah, exactly. We could just sort of try to poach his exact zip codes, figure out where he's going, and just have
we'll do like a
Reddit,
Reddit string, like how they found like Shia LaBeouf or whatever from his, like, I don't know what they did, but like we'll do that for finding Billy's leads, and we'll just go steal them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all on board with that. Absolutely. I mean, someone has to stop him. Right. He's just printing money over there to the point that he's going to get flagged here pretty soon. He's obviously doing something illegal.
Right. Oh man. So, well, anyhow,
but yeah, there is a huge amount of value to that though, and yeah, the community, like it'll be super cool to sort of see how it gets going here. We spent a good portion of the weekend building out a bunch more content for it. We're getting really into the weeds with it. I know people are starting to order their first batches here this weekend, so it should start getting pretty real here pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that kind of hit too. That, I don't know, when we send our first batches out, it's like, oh my God, people do call us. This works.
I know, right?
And it's like, we're not lying. We're not lying. It's truthful. It works.
I know. I'll always remember that first batch of mail that we sent out, and when our phone started ringing, I literally could not believe it.
I know,
because I was still at my job at the trampoline place doing web development stuff, and my phone was just going like all day, and I was like, this is crazy, and I kept like going outside to like talk to people. I had no idea like how to pre-screen leads or like how to do all this stuff. I didn't even know how to like run comps on deals, right? And they were like, oh well, I want $200,000 for my property. And I was like, okay, like what do you think your property's worth? Like you're gonna
yeah. Some of the leads too, I love to laugh at some of the dick bags we had to deal with through the first part, because we just like thought every lead was the one. You can't, like, we paid for these, we gotta, like, they're gonna sell to us, we just gotta beat them down. And then just the dude that I just always remember is the guy in it's like the Garland area. What's that guy's first name? He's like the lawyer. Remember that guy?
Was that in Garland?
No, not Garland. Sorry, Audubon, the Audubon neighborhood.
The lawyer, like which one? Like the one who we tried to like convince to the partner flip, or was it a different lawyer?
No, different one. This was the guy that just graduated from law school when he was like 40, and he moved up to like Colville or something like that afterwards when he was selling it. Remember that? And then he sold it to somebody in his church.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Pisses me off more than any of the people we wasted our time with. That guy.
It's because he was such an idiot. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we wasted so much time with him. Well, the thing that sucked about him was he told us like it like sounded good, and then he just ghosted us. And then we knew that he wasn't going to be able to sell it because there was so much water damage in that property.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah. The roof was leaking into the house, and it was just bad.
And then we ultimately found that he sold it to somebody in his church. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I remember because we Facebook stalked them after we saw the transfer, and it was they were like a super young couple, and and he sold it to them for like complete retail price. Yeah. And it was 100% apparent he took advantage of those people.
He did. He's a dirtbag. That's what pisses me off about the whole situation. He was not an honest person, which makes sense. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I forgot about that one. Yeah, I wanted that house too. That was
a great property.
Yeah. God, that fucking guy. Yeah, I remember that one. And then, I mean, like, I don't know. I'll always remember the first walkthrough that we went to, where we sat. I don't know if we ever talked about this one on here, where we both went to this house together, and we were both like so embarrassed to say the offer because it was so much less than they wanted. Yeah. So we sat in their living room with this couple who were getting
for 2 hours
more and more. For 2 hours, they're getting visually more and more angry the entire time. Yeah. And then
just
finally,
the wife
was just like,
the wife was getting mad.
He was getting edgy too, though, because he was talking about the house down the street that just sold for XYZ. And we're like, yeah, but that's a new house. Your house smells like cat piss. We were doing the whole thing. And then you were finally just like, our offer's like 180 or whatever the hell you said.
It was like 140, and they wanted 225, I think. So it wasn't like that bad, but I mean, yeah, they were then they started fighting with each other. Oh, it was bad.
I know. And then the wife's like, you guys need to get out.
Needless to say, they didn't sell to us.
They didn't sell to us. Then they actually cleaned it up and they listed it, and they did pretty well, I think.
Yeah, they did.
But that was right before COVID too, because I remember that lady was hacking.
Oh,
and we like went out to the car and we were like spritzing up everywhere.
She
and
was
we're like,
so gross. Oh God, you're right. Oh man. Hell yeah. The life of a wholesaler.
I know. Especially getting started. It's just nonstop, dude.
Yeah.
Can't.
Good times.
So many dumb ones.
That would be a good cartoon. That would be a good cartoon skit for you, man, right there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other early ones that were like that bad. I can't remember. So lots of regrets on like our early deals.
Yeah.
Like
if you want to end on I think we're at our time, but if you want to end on a bad note, we could talk about the landlording, how bad it sucks sometimes when you have an oil furnace that leaks, as everybody knows, and the insurance company screws you. And then when that happens, then the basement floods with groundwater. That was cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That house is turning into a demon, man. There's some like, it's on an Indian burial ground or something. It has to be.
Something's wrong with it. We're cursed.
Like, honestly. Yeah. Did we get that figured out? What are we going to do about the water?
I don't know. Judd's going to figure it out, though. I'm sure of it.
I hope so. I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I wrote the insurance agent a letter or an email saying, hey, we got this issue, blah, blah, blah. And then she basically said, yeah, I mean, we'll cover the damage, but there's no damage because it's already damaged. So sorry. It's like, but the issue is an issue. So if I cover it all up, it's going to be an issue. And you have to cover the damage again. And yeah. She's tough. She's a tough lady to work with.
Yeah. Well, I reported her to our agent and said that we were pissed off. So no one knows. Maybe she'll be able to do something for us. I guess we'll find out.
Maybe.
But we got a lot of weird property stuff to figure out right now because our freaking tenant in the house with the ADU didn't pay rent this month either. So we got to deal with that whole situation.
Oh boy.
So that's gonna be fun because she's a freaking nightmare. So yeah, I don't know what the deal's gonna be there. So I posted all of the applicable information about exactly what we need to do in Slack. And when that stuff gets delivered tomorrow, she's gonna be thrilled. So we're gonna see what happens.
Whatever. that could be one of those deals. It's like a sweet deal too. But it just might be one of those ones that we don't get to until August.
I know. We're stuck sitting on it with these freaking God.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's typical though. That's the one that bites you in the ass. It's never we've never had problems with getting tenants out. We've had some rough tenants, like when we buy properties. We've had some tough tenants. But she was the property owner and she's gonna be the pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like looking at the rest of the tenants that we've had, she's like the most like put together one too, which is makes it so frustrating. Like she has like an actual job, like so does her husband. Like there's like family members that live there that are also employed in this giant ass house. So there's like no reason for them to be difficult except for the fact that they've determined to be difficult. I mean, the whole thing is too with this situation is they were getting foreclosed on, and by buying it, we basically bailed them out. And we kind of had an arrangement, a verbal arrangement of what it needed to be, how it was going to go. And they've just basically made the decision. Like from the second that we closed on it, they started getting real bitchy.
Real weird. Things. And then asked us to repair the freaking faucet. It's like, dude, you're moving out in 2 weeks, aren't you? I think the intention was not to move out.
Yeah, and you're gonna honestly tell me it wasn't like that before.
I know.
And now you're and it's not even it's in the ADU they don't even live in.
Oh man. All right. So, well, that's too bad to end on, just to motivate people.
Yeah. I know that's what I always say to our guys is we have all this stuff come up. I'm like, are you sure you want to be a landlord? Like this is the BS that just happens constantly.
Yeah. Well, you have to scale big enough to where those little things don't wreck your day. I mean, for sure. Really what it comes down to.
Well, and that's the thing with the water issue too. I was talking to our insurance agent about is I was like, we're fortunate that we're in a good situation that like we can kind of deal with that. But, if this company should understand that like, if we were brand new or like this was the first thing, this could be like financially ruining to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
If they had like bought this property to be a rental and like all this stuff happened and the insurance company's like, oh, sorry, screw you. You have to deal with this all on your own. Like that could literally like bankrupt somebody who was cutting it close.
Well, yeah, because I got to imagine like between lost revenue and money we're going to spend, not like we have to spend, but that we will end up spending, we're probably going to be in like the range of like $25,000 $100,000, unless the insurance check comes back really fat and it covers that. Which I doubt it will.
Which is known to happen. They generally over reimburse you for things. Insurance does. Everyone knows that.
We'll see. We'll see. You know, this gal is tough, dude.
See, and the thing that pissed me off about that too, one last thing on this, is that, you know, we're in this situation, but you can go and you can find like a roofer to come and like pull a shingle off of your roof, and they'll be like, yeah, you got to replace your whole roof, and the insurance company will just write you an $18,000 check. You know, and then the roofer just fixes the freaking shingle and just makes off like a bandit.
The thing that I don't get is they will not fix what caused the problem, but they'll fix the results. It's like, well, so if I don't fix that problem myself, you guys are going to be back out here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Anyhow,
fascinating.
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff going on. It's the challenges of scale in any sort of business, I think. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, if you want to hear more miserable fucking stories about real estate, you should like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, and we'll tell you
negative. I promise.
The horror stories and the wins and the losses. That's what we promise.
Yeah. That's true. That is in our little intro. It is the horror stories, and we just got a bunch from going on right now, which, I mean, it balances out from our killer February that we just had with all of our contracts. So the negative has to come from somewhere. It's just the reality of balance. Anyway, if you're interested in our group coaching program, go to instantinvestorprogram.com, get some more information. You can book a call with me to sort of hear more about what that would look like. Like I said, we got a little group going in there right now, all sorts of experience levels. It's going to start taking off here pretty quick. I'm super excited about it. You can follow us on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. You can also check out our website at collectingkeyspodcast.com. And go and subscribe, you guys. Our podcast is growing very rapidly, and there's a lot of big things to come. So we're super excited about it. And anything you want to add, Dan? You said you were going to have a good send off. I think was that last time. Was that 2 times ago? I don't remember.
No, it was every time. I forgot, but I'll sign us off. How about Mike and Dan signing off from sunny Spokane? That was on the spot right there. You got to give it to
there me. You go. That the thing is going to be, I think we're just going to have a terrible send off. That's going to be what our send off thing is every single time. That's the pattern that we have going.
Yeah.
So, but all right,
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out at collectingkeyspodcast.com for tips and guides on starting your own real estate investment and wholesaling business.